Hey everybody, we're back for another acceptable casualties battle report. Today we have some version 4. We have 1500 points of Hero Strelkovy, taking out 1500 points of SS Totenkopf in Encounter. We'll be back in a second to go over the list and deployment. So here we have our 1500 points of Hero Strelkovy company. It's going to be confident trained. Well, the core of it will be. Starting down here, I have the 1IC and 2IC. The battalion commissar has been moved off and attached to the small SMG platoon right there. Up above them, we have two of the Strelkovy companies. Each one has a Maxim HMG attached to it. One unit has been upgraded for free in each to SMGs, and then I also paid for two Panzerfaust teams. That'll be the darker brown bases, having been upgraded in each one of the companies as well. So two for each of those. Over here is a small SMG platoon with the battalion commissar attached. Over here I have a scout platoon. Up here I have a 122 howitzer with an observer. Over here I have some Ziz guns. And over here I have a tank company that has two ISU 152s and two T-34 85s. So altogether, I think it's 1505, and it's 1505 as well either. The morale for these are a little bit different as well. So yeah, like I said, these two are going to be confident trained for the HQ, confident trained for the SMGs, fearless vet for the scout platoon. The howitzers are going to be confident trained. The Ziz guns are actually fearless vet. And these guys over here, the tank company, is going to be fearless trained. So I'll be back in a second to go over SS Totenkopf. So here we have our 1500 points of SS Panzer Grenadier Kampf group is going to be SS Totenkopf. Over here we have the 1IC, 2IC with a Shrek. Above them we have a Panzer Grenadier platoon with, what is it, the commander is upgraded with a Faust. And then the five-man teams are Faust as well, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then back over here there's another platoon that's upgraded the same exact way. Above them we have two Pack 40s with the half-track toes. We have three Nebelwerfers with Observer. They are fearless trained. Above them we have was it Beimir or
Yep.
Beimir with five Panzer IVs. Down here we have ourselves two of the 7.5 half tracks, and then we have two of the Flame half tracks. So altogether it's like 1505. Everybody in here is fearless vet except for the Nebelwerfers. They're fearless trained. So we'll be back in a second to go over deployment. Okay, so we are back for our deployment for our encounter. First I'll go over the objectives and pre-ranged in markers, and after that we'll start with the Germans and go over to the Soviets. So down here, I ended up placing one of my objectives over here in this corner behind the hill. My second objective I placed over here on top of this hilltop. My pre-ranged in marker is right here, this little cross between the hill, the forest, and the lake. For Vin, he placed his one objective right there next to the train station, his second objective over there a little bit further up the road in the middle of the table, and his pre-ranged in marker is going to be that black dot right there next to that objective. So that's what we're looking at for objectives and pre-ranged in markers. For Vin's 900 points on the table, he has one unit of Panzer Grenadiers that's going to be right here behind this hill. He has his unit of Nebelwerfers back here. His observer is going to be up there along the tree line. He has his units of Pack 40s sitting right here on the hillside, and then he has his Panzer IVs over here on this flank. For my Soviets, I have my howitzers back there along the rail line. I have one of my platoons of Strelkovy. Here's Strelkovy right here. I have my observer in the far side of that train station right there. My Ziz-3s are right here along the roadway here. My other unit of Hero Strelkovy are right there, and then I have my 1IC and 2IC following up behind them. For my reserves, I have the Hero Assault Tank Squadron, the unit of SMGs with the battalion commissar attached, and the scouts. It's like 600 points on the nose. For Vin's reserves, he has his one platoon of Panzer Grenadiers, his 1IC, 2IC, and Shrek, and then down here he has the 7.5 half tracks and the Flame half tracks, and I think it's like what, like 600 points on the nose for you too?
Right under it.
Right under it. Okay, so this is what
right over it.
Right over it. So this is what we're looking at for deployment. We'll be back in a second for Germans top turn 1. So we are back for the top of turn one for the Germans. In this turn, not a lot really happened here. Vin ended up digging in his Nebelwerfers. He also dug in his Pack 40s. Up here, he failed to do the blitz move with the Panzer IVs, but then he just ended up moving forward. That's the only thing that really happened in the movement phase. And shooting, Vin fired a bunch of cannon shots down, but missed at the howitzers. The Pack 40s over here, they fired down at the Ziz guns, and they ended up missing as well. Since it's meeting engagement, the Nebelwerfers are not allowed to fire the first turn, and the Panzer Grenadiers over here just stay tucked behind the hillside. So that's all that happened here for the top turn one. We'll be back in a second for bottom turn one for the hero Strelkovy. So we are back for the bottom of turn one for the Soviets. In this turn, just a lot of movement pretty much. So back here, we ended up digging in our howitzers. We were able to dig in our Strelkovy right there. We ended up moving up our Ziz guns up a little bit further, 4 inches. And then over here, we were able to move up our Strelkovy as well as our 1IC. Going down the line for the shooting phase, I ended up doing follow me order, so that's why they were able to move up as far as they did. I failed my follow me order with the 1IC, so they're just kind of hanging out right there. Ziz guns, in the shooting phase, they fired 2 shots down into the packs. I needed 6 to hit. I ended up rolling a 5 and a 2. Down there from the howitzers, I was able to see my observer is in that window right there. So he was able to look down range, and I was able to spot in over here on the observer, and I was able to range in on my second attempt. I hit the observer, failed to hit the Pack 40 under the template. Vin ended up passing his 3-up save, so nobody's dead on that. So that's pretty much all that happened here for bottom of turn one for the Soviets. We'll be back in a second for top of turn two for the Germans. So we are back for the top of turn two for the Germans. In this turn, things went pretty good for Vin. So Vin ended up doing his blitz move with his half tracks and moved up to that hillside right there. That's also with a shoot and scoot added into it for his movement. Down here, the Panzer IVs, they failed their blitz again, so they ended up just staying still. Nebelwerfers and the Pack 40s didn't move with the observer. In the shooting phase, Vin uses Nebelwerfers to drop his smoke bombardment right there to kind of take the Ziz guns out of the equation for shooting over here at the half tracks. Also in the shooting phase, the machine guns down here fired 16 shots into these guys. Vin ended up killing 2 and pinning the unit. What else do we have down here? Oh yeah, the Pack 40s, they fired 4 shots down to the Ziz guns. Vin got 1 hit, but I ended up making my save. And then down here, Vin fired 10 cannon shots, needing 6s at the howitzers back there. He ended up getting 2 hits. I failed one of my 4-up saves and ended up digging them out. That's pretty much all that happened here in the shooting phase for the Germans. They also failed. Oh, sorry, yeah, they didn't get a chance to do this shoot and scoot. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn two for the Soviets, and we'll just continue to push up the board. Be back in a flash. We are back for the bottom of turn two for the Soviets. Took some chances here. Let's go over how it played out. So back here, we ended up staying on the ground with this rifle platoon. We really didn't have anything going on. Movement, we ended up staying still with them. The howitzers, we stayed still with. The 1IC and 2IC, we pushed up into this building here with a blitz and then movement order. With these guys, we were able to get a blitz off, then a move, and then we got a whole bunch of people in range for SMGs. We kept the max machine gun back. We pretty much had a boatload of shots. We were able to pin the half tracks, and then we weren't able to bail anybody over here. For other shooting as well, we dropped that bombardment over here. Again, we got a hit on the pack, but Vin made both of his saves, so the unit's just pinned. What else did we have go on? Oh yeah, those Ziz guns fired a bunch of shots into these packs as well, but nothing hit. I needed 6s. In the assault, Vin had a couple shots to get off here for defensive fire. He ended up getting 5 hits and pinning the unit. He only killed 1, but the passengers are pinned in there. I'm pinned out here, and that's kind of what we're looking at now for the end of turn 2. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 3. Vin gets first roll for reserve. We'll be back in a flash. We are back for the top of turn 3. Vin was able to get in his other unit of Panzer Grenadiers from reserves. In the movement phase, he ended up driving them up to the top of the hill right there. He failed to unpin the unit that was in the half tracks there.
But I unpinned my observer.
He did, yes, yeah, he did unpin his observer. Failed to unpin the Pack 40s over here. They all stood still, same thing with the Nebelwerfers. And then Bymir passed his blitz move, and then they didn't really do anything else. So in the shooting phase, These guys had 10 shots, needed 6s. They got 3 hits, killed 2, so I'm going to have to make a motivation test at the beginning of my turn. I got one of those guns left. Down here, the Pack 40s and the Nebelwerfers all fired a bombardment down there. The Pack 40s ended up missing 2 shots. The Nebelwerfers failed to range in somehow, so the Ziz guns were able to walk away unscathed. Down here, between the machine gun shots from the Panzer Grenadiers that came in and the ones that were already on the table, Vin ended up doing... How many? What'd you get? You killed 4 guys?
Yeah, and I killed 4.
Yeah, 3 SMGs and 1 rifle team, and they ended up pinning the unit. So that's pretty much what happened here. I'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 3 for the Soviets. I got my reserves coming up as well, so we'll be back in a flash. Alright, so we are back here for bottom of turn 3. I ended up getting in my Hero assault gun company, the tanks. They came in. I failed to unpin the rifle team over here, and I also failed my motivation for the howitzers back over there. Once again, the movement phase, they ended up staying still. My Ziz guns ended up staying still. Like I said, I failed to unpin them, but I did dig them in, and my 1 IC and 2 IC stayed here, and I ended up moving my tanks up over here from the reserve roll for scattered reserves. In shooting, the T-34s fired down on this platoon here. I was able to get 1 hit, because I can't fire the ISU 152s because of the new bunker buster rule, because I moved, so that's unfortunate. But so I was only able to get 1 bail on one of the half tracks here, and then these Ziz guns, they fired down. I was able to get 1 explode result. Both guys died in there with the 3-up saves. Then over here I got 2 bails on the middle one, and then this platoon is still pinned from before. So Vin's going to have to get at least 1 of those half tracks. I think he's going to have to get 1 of them unbailed, so the half tracks at least stay in good spirits. If they fail, I think the half tracks would leave the table because they count as a separate squad for transports, but the Panzer Grenadiers would still be able to just jump out and there'd just be a pinned unit. So let's see what happens with that for Vin's turn. I'm trying to think any other shooting that I had. Oh yeah, and then I had some rifle and MG shots from here. I got a couple hits, but nothing really happened. I just kind of kept those guys pinned. I had 1 Faust that was in range, but I ended up missing my shot. So that's all that happened here for the bottom of turn 3. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 4 for the Germans. So we are back for the top of turn 4. In this turn, Vin was able to get his flame half tracks on the table, and let's try and just go over what happened here. So start down here with the Panzer IVs. Vin had a blitz move and a regular move that started from down here. He ended up pushing them up to the ridge to get them into assault range. Down here, as you see, the Pack 40s and Nebelwerfers really didn't move anywhere. Vin's Panzer Grenadiers here, they just fell back. He didn't do anything else with them, right? Yeah, then his other Panzer Grenadier unit, they ended up past the pinning, got everybody back in. Everybody got back into the bailed half tracks, and Vin pushed up to around here. And then the 2 flame tracks ended up over here. So between the flame tracks, the MGs from there, they were able to kill the 4 bases that were over here, and the MG40, the Maxim machine gun that was over there. I'm down to literally just 3 guys left over here for this platoon right now, and they are pinned and they're still dug in over here. Up over here, Vin was able to range in but couldn't kill any of the Ziz guns from over there. Up over here during the assault, Vin had 20 machine gun shots going in. He was able to kill 1 of the Fausts. Then in the assault, I ended up not hitting in the overwatch with the 1 Faust that I had left. And then in combat, we were able to blow up 1 of the tanks, bail another one, and then Vin rolled in there and he killed 3 bases, and I failed to motivate to get back in. So we're both kind of like at a standoff right now at that objective right over there. So that's all that happened right here for the top of turn 4. We'll be back in a second for bottom 4 of the Soviets, see who we can get in. We are back for the bottom of turn 4 for the Soviets. We failed to get any reserves in this turn. Matter of fact, it was just a whole lot of fail this turn. So down over here for our movement phase, we ended up pushing up our guys right there. We ended up repositioning our Ziz guns, and then we held our tanks over here pretty firm. So in the shooting phase, between the tanks and the Ziz guns, we ended up blowing up all the half tracks. And then we took Vin down to just 2 bases, I think, after the shooting phase was said and done over on this side. What else did we have? Oh yeah, up over here, the 2 Ziz guns that were facing this way were able to get a bail on 1 of Vin's tanks over here. So we had 2 bailed out, and then he had 2 that were left in fighting order. In the assault phase, I failed to get an assault off. Vin had 8 shots, and ended up getting 5 hits, so we pinned those guys back over there. And then over here for assaults, I was able to get my tanks and my 1IC and 2IC in the assaults. We were able to wipe out that unit, but the 1IC and the 2IC, I think I had 3 swings altogether throughout the combats, and I missed on all of them, so he finally got killed, and I was able to pass off some wounds to some other guys that were in range. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So I have 1 guy left here in bad spirits from that platoon, which I have to make that command base over here. But like I said, the Panzer Grenadiers for this platoon are dead right now. And then up over there, if Vin doesn't get those guys in from the bale, he's going to have to make the motivation tests. So that's what we're looking at right now. I'll be back in a flash for top of turn 5. Vin automatically gets 1 unit in from reserves. We are back for the top of turn 5, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Top turn 5. In this turn, Vin ended up getting both of his reserves in, so he brought in one of his Panzer Grenadier platoons and his 1IC, 2IC right over here. He had, would you roll like a 3 and a 4, so you got to pick like the middle part of the table edge. Back over here, Vin rolled double ones to get these guys back into the tank, so they're still double bailed there with 2 tanks still available to fight. He didn't have to do the motivation. That was from version 3, but this is from version 4, so the rules are a little bit different for that. For other movement, Vin brought on the 7.5s as well from reserve, and he was able to push them up to here to get shots down range, and then he also brought on his 2 half tracks for the Pack 40s to mobilize them for next turn. In the shooting phase, the packs fired down to the Ziz guns but failed to hit, but the Nebelwerfers, who were ranged in before, they were able to pluck out 2 of the guns. I failed all 3 saves, and Vin failed 1 of the firepower, so they're still in good order, but they are pinned down there. The flame wagons moved up the street a little bit over here. What else happened down here? Vin had 8 machine gun shots down there. You kill 1 base? Oh no, sorry, yeah. The unit was pinned, but yeah, he had 5 hits, but I made every one of my saves on that right there, so that worked out pretty good. So that's all that happened here for the top of turn 5. When we come back, I will have to make the last man standing for this, and I will get one of my units reserves in for this turn as well, so we'll be back in a flash. Back for bottom of turn 5. I was able to get 2 reserves in this turn. The 1 small SMG platoon is over here, and they ended up coming on with the battalion commissar, and then I was able to get my scout platoon in. That's up on this side over here right now. In the shooting phase, the Ziz gun over here was able to get a bale on one of Vin's tanks. I was also able to get another bale with the Panzerfaust, so it was 4 bales. Vin had no defensive fire, so I just went in there, I just captured all the tanks, and just moved my guys back after consolidation over there. Down here, between the Ziz gun and the 2 T-34s, I fired 3 shots in there. Did not get a hit on anything, so they ended up staying there. My rifle team, they fired down. I got 1 hit, but Vin made a save. And then over here with the ISU 152s, I needed 6s to hit down here, and I ended up missing on both of those. So that's what we're looking at right now for the bottom of turn 5. Nobody has any reserves left, and it's pretty much just going to be going to be a battle of attrition at this point for the most part. So we'll be back in a flash for the top of turn 6. So we are back for the top of turn 6. In this turn for movement, Vin moved his flame tracks up to that position. These 7.5s, he ended up pushing up behind the house over here. Down here, he was able to dig in the 1IC, but failed to dig in the Panzer Grenadiers. He ended up swinging his Pack 40s around over here after he hooked them up to the half tracks to kind of give them a little more fire support on this objective. Nebelwerfers obviously didn't do anything. On the shooting phase, Nebelwerfers fired a bombardment down there. They were able to pin the unit and take out one of the SMG teams. Over here, the flame tracks were able to kill the one, what do you call it? The Ziz gun over there, so I only have 1 left, so I'll take motivation for them next turn. And I think that's all the shooting that you did for this turn, right, Vin?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, no assaults or anything, so we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 6 for the Soviets. Alright, so we are back for bottom of turn 6. Nothing super exciting here. I ended up pushing up that infantry platoon over there to get out of range of that template. Back over here, I ended up moving up that scout team to get a little bit closer to this objective, make Vin have to kind of defend it. I failed to dig in this infantry platoon over here. I passed my last man standing for the Ziz gun. I failed it for the guy down here. Shooting phase, I also moved up the T-34s and the ISU 152s, which the new rule for Bunker Buster, these guys are absolutely worthless to take for the most part. It's if you move, you just have to blitz up the table. I don't think it's worth it for tanks with Bunker Buster anymore, unless you get the blitz off. If you don't get that off, you might as well just take some other tanks for how much that they cost. But for the shooting, back to that, between the Ziz gun and the two T-34s there, I was able to blow up one of the half tracks and then bail out another one over there for the flame track. So they'll be doing motivations from here on out. Down here, we fired a rifle shot into that one and I failed. And then I'm trying to think of any other shooting down here. Yeah, like I said, I couldn't shoot anything with the ISU 152s, and that was really the only thing that happened for this turn. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 7 for the Germans. So we're back for top of turn 7 for the Germans. In this turn, Vin ended up bringing on his half tracks to take his command team to kind of make a move up over to that side. He ended up dismounting the Pack 40s and left him over here for support fire. Over here, this is after a blitz and shoot and scoot to move around the side of the building here, and then the flame wagon moved up and they torched that Ziz gun and killed it there. The shooting from the 7.5 half tracks, Vin was able to get one bail, and he failed his firepower to get another bail over there. So that's what ended up happening over here for shooting, and I don't think anything else happened. Oh yeah, so the Nebelwerfers, Vin tried dropping a template down into here, but he failed to range in, so those guys are still okay. So it's the top of turn 7. We'll be back in a second for bottom turn 7 Soviets. So we are back for the bottom of turn 7 for the Soviets. In the movement phase, we were able to push these guys up here, and then obviously we shot an assault and took off one of the Nebelwerfers down here. Up there, we opted to dig in this turn. Obviously, see we can fail. We failed that. We also failed to dig these guys in over here as well. We did a blitz move with the ISU 152s and the T-34s. We ended up moving the T-34s, just blitz moving there. So we had the out of command penalty for that guy, but we ended up blowing up the half track back there with one of the ISU 152 shots. And then down here with the T-34s, I got 2 hits. We blew up one and bailed another, so Finn is going to have to do a motivation with them next turn to get those guys back in. That's all that really happened here for the bottom of turn 7. Things are both starting to thin out on both sides. I don't know if anybody's going to have enough to really make a push here. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 8 for the Germans. So we're back for top of turn 8 here for the Germans. Vin was able to get them back in, and he passed his last man standing with that vehicle over there. Down here, he was able to get these guys dug in. He failed to dig in the packs. Then Vin got a blitz move off, and then he moved cross country just to kind of get some more support here for the Nebelwerfers on this side over here. In the shooting phase, Vin had his 2 shots, but since he failed the blitz move, he was only able to get, he did get 2 hits, but he failed his firepower on one to get a bail, so they're still looking pretty good on that side. And I think that was all the shooting that went off this turn. So we'll be back in a second for bottom turn 8 for the Soviets. So we are back for the bottom of turn 8. In this turn, I ended up just digging in and going the ground with the scouts since they're contesting that objective right there. With this platoon, I decided to get aggressive and push up. So this is a move with a follow me order tacked onto the back of it. Over here, I just moved the ISU 152s in a position over there to help cover the T-34s just in case. T-34s ended up staying still. They fired a bunch of shots down and were able to kill that other half track that was sitting there. So this side of the table is kind of secure at this point. I ended up taking the infantry over here, the SMG platoon, and I ended up just moving them into that house for this turn. And then maybe we'll start using them in conjunction with that tank platoon to start making a push somewhere. So this is what we're looking at now for the the Soviets at the bottom of turn 8. Going to the top of turn 9 for the Germans. Like I said, our games only go to 12, so somebody's going to have to do something pretty soon if they want to try to win this thing, so we'll be back in a flash. So we are back here for top of turn 9 right now. This turn, Vin pretty much stayed static all the way across. He was able to dig these guys in, failed to unpin the Nebelwerfers. He moved up with his half tracks. Got no hits in the shooting phase. I ended up getting 4 hits in defensive fire, and then Vin was able to go in. He was able to kill 2 bases. I failed to motivate, so I ended up falling back over there with just 1 guy left on that. That's pretty much all that happened for this turn. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 9 for the Soviets and see how it goes. Back for bottom of turn 9 for the Soviets, and this was pretty much just about positioning. I was able to motivate this guy to stay on the table, but I think I failed to unpin, but I passed the dig in, so he's still pinned from that previous assault. These guys, I failed to dig in, so I just ended up staying on the ground and concealed because I didn't move. I ended up going cross-country dash and was able to position these guys around the back of that lake right there to try to get this group in the position to make a play later in the game. And then over here with this platoon, I just moved them out of this house over here so Vin didn't have an opportunity to drop a bombardment or anything on that house. He was able to unpin his unit, so I just moved them over here out of sight. So this is what we're looking at right now for the bottom of turn 9. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 10 for the Germans. So we are back for top of turn 10. In this turn, Vin ended up moving up these guys over here to push them up, and he fired a bunch of rounds down there. I biffed on 4 saves, I think? Yeah, 4 saves out in the open. So all I have left is the battalion commissar, and I think 1 guy behind him. Over here, I have my tanks still left. Vin fired 1 shot from the pack, ended up making my save. This pack fired down in these guys over here, but failed to hit. Nebelwerfers failed to range in here as well. And then Vin moved up his half tracks here, but he needed 6s because he failed a blitz move for the +1. I was gone to ground concealed because I didn't move. So he wasn't able to pin unit. And then in the assault, I was able to beat him back with 5 hits to stop the assault from going off. So he ended up falling back to this position right here. So that's what we're looking at right now for top of turn 10. We'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 10 for the Soviets. So we are back for bottom of turn 10. In this turn, we were able to stay put over there. I was able to keep the commissar on with his commissar roll. I shot the other guy in the face, so they passed motivation. I ended up passing down here as well. In the shooting phase, between the T-34 85s, I was able to fire 4 shots. We were able to take out both of the half tracks, and then these guys were able to take out the 2 command teams in close combat, and then over here we were able to take out the observer on that side. In the shooting phase up here for the tanks, for the ISU 152s, we failed to hit 2 times down here with the PAC 40. So that's all we're looking at right now going into the top turn 11. Vin just has his PAC 40s left, and the infantry is part of his formation. All I have left is my commissar. I have this platoon down here, and I have this scout here as well. So that's what we're looking at. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 11 for the Germans. For top of turn 11 for the Germans. In this turn, Vin decided to push up over here with his infantry. He ended up swinging his pack guns around that force to get a better range, and his Nebelwerfers ended up staying put right over here. In shooting, one of the PAC 40s was able to blow up one of the T-34s in the back over there. Down here, Vin attempted to assault with 2 bases through the woods over there. He lost 1 guy in defensive fire, and then he failed to hit. I counterattacked and killed him, so that platoon's down to 5 and staying out there in the open. Vin did drop a bombardment down here. He was able to kill 1 base from here, and then I lost my my scout team guy over there. I failed to save, and then Vin ended up digging him out with a firepower test. So that's what we're looking at right now at top turn 11. I guess I have to roll my yeah, we'll just do this on camera right now. We'll see if this ended up paying off right here. So we got the commissar back here. He's the lone survivor from the I ended up attaching him to that other platoon, so I assume that he's not counted as like the fearless to the last stand because I ended up attaching him out. I think that's the case. So I'm just going to roll it here on camera. He's going to need a 4-up motivation to stay in the game. So we're going to roll it down here and see how it goes. No. So we'll be back in a second to go over endgame recap. So we're back for the end of game recap. It ended up being a German victory here. I think we played this one right at the end. Since the battalion commissar is part of the HQ, he has the heroic special rule, but since I combat attached him out to that platoon, I assume he becomes part of that platoon, so he loses that heroic status. I think we played it right. I hope we played it right because it did make a difference in the end of the game right here. I guess I'll go over my plan, and then I guess we can go over into Vin and break this one down. So what I was thinking was, initially with my deployment was just to kind of hold the line with my infantry platoons in the middle of the table with the support from the howitzers over there and then the Ziz guns at the crossroads to kind of get some lanes of fire going down here, possible bombardment to take away the middle of the table, and then use the howitzers if there's any close shots here with those panzers. Even though it was a stretch now, since a breakthrough gun is a little bit different with this edition, it's not as effective. So keep that in mind when you guys use it if you're switching from V3 to V4. Over on this flank over here, I wanted to get aggressive with this platoon over here instead of just staying dug in, so I opted to push them up the table. I knew Vin had MG teams coming out of reserve and everything, but I figured if I can maybe get pushed up the table a little bit quick before reserves came in, things might have worked out. It did a little bit, but like I said, it got stunted right here after some bad dice. Later in the game, as the things played out over there, after I got the crossroads under control on this side, with the T-34s and just support from the Ziz guns and everything that went along this road over here and those turns in the middle of the game. The plan was, instead of sitting back and just playing the long distance shootout with the tanks, I figured I'll just make a push to keep things entertaining up here, and I ended up making the push up the middle and then over here. What killed me more than anything at the end of the game, I think, was bad dice for this platoon over here. I failed four saves. If I would have made one of them, I would have been able to keep that platoon in good spirits, and it would have been a much different game as far as how I could have played things out. Same thing with the scouts over here. I had those guys dug in. I didn't have good dice on defensive fire, and then in the counterattack that kind of killed me too. The dice when I needed it for these guys wasn't that good. But like I said, it was only 3 bases. They did what I needed them to do, which was come in, push, and get some pressure on this objective over here for the most part. The tanks did pretty well. I will say, I don't think it's worth taking bunker busters and tanks anymore, man. When you move and you get rate of fire 0, you either just have to blitz up the table, and like I said, most of the time it's just a strength 1 shot. I think the ISU 152s, they're going to get shelved. It's kind of unfortunate too because I love that tank, but they really are extremely situational now with the penalty to moving. It's either move 4 inches, you get 1 long distance shot for half the game until you get close enough to do good volley fire and make it worth your while, or you move and you get absolutely nothing. So I don't think they're that good. There's much better options inside the armory for Soviets that would be more cost effective and get better bang for your buck than the ISU 152s at this point. I think just going back to the regular SUs might be a better option, but that'll be for like later games. So yeah, this list overall is the first time I was running Hero Strelkovy. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I like the regular Strelkovy battalion better, but having the 3-up skill test is kind of nice. I'll have to mix and mess with this list a little bit more just to kind of get a better feel for how the platoons break out. But I don't know, Vin, what were you thinking for how your deployment went and everything that played out during the game?
I think it went actually really well. The Biomir unit totally failed me, obviously, when I made it to the gigantic.
Oh yeah, for the assaults up here.
Yeah, that was really bad dice. I don't think it would have ended the game by any means, but it might have changed the route of your tanks, I would imagine.
Yeah, if they would have hung on a little bit, I think it would have put me more. I wouldn't have been able to make this push up here. I would have had to stay more defensive on that table edge.
Yeah, which is what I was trying to have you do. My MVPs obviously were the Flammenwagen.
Yeah, those
things were harassing the shit out of everybody.
Well, the good thing was that you had the reserve roll that gave you this corner down here, and by the time they came in, I was already pushed up to over here, and there was a couple of juicy targets going all the way down that lane for them. They worked out pretty good coming out of reserves.
Yeah, they got really lucky with that one turn when you had like all the tanks and the Ziz guns shooting.
Oh yeah, that didn't help the cause too much anyway.
These guys, I don't know, they would have done good if I didn't roll so shitty, because I had, 2 bales and a potential explosion?
Yeah.
And I failed all 3 of them.
Yeah, you failed all 3 of them.
So, that was just bad dice. The one thing that I'm sure everybody noticed, when I put everybody up and I had an extra group come in and I backed them up when you had everybody coming at me instead of pushing, it was just right for me, I think, to kind of bring them back and just wait for you to kind of make your push, because I thought I had enough over here to kind of hold you off, but I think if it would have came down to it, you probably should have won this one, in my opinion.
I don't know if I should have won it. I think, like I said, it was bad dice on that end. I think, like I said, what killed me was not mopping up the flame wagon sooner.
Yeah.
And like I said, we could have definitely set this thing up for trench warfare for turns 10, 11, and 12 and just dug in, but I think it would have been pretty boring at that point.
Yeah, that's why I charged my HQ into the...
Yeah. Well, that was actually a good play for you because like I said if you would have been able to ding these guys up, it would have stunted everything. It would have been a no-brainer because you had nothing to lose at that point because you still had the Pack 40s and these guys were in really good shape. And that would have put me to last man standing checks for 3 platoons if he would have gotten those guys down far enough, and that would have been lights out most likely because I think everybody that I had on the table was a 4-up because I only took the Red Army option, so they were confident trained.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you played the counterattack pretty well as far as whittling those units down. So like I said, this was a pretty good game. Like I had some fun rolling it. This wasn't like the most exciting thing. I know it did go to like the turn 11, but yeah, like there was no like this is awesome moments. I think off camera for us, it was just a pretty good decent game.
So I had answers for everything.
Yeah, and like I think this was for V4. Like I said, I'll probably play Jeff, but I think I want to get back and get a couple of V3 games in for some of those guys that want to watch that as well. And like I said, I like V3 too, so I think some of the next ones we'll probably do some stuff like that when we start doing some more narrative games. And then I know we also have some battle reports that are probably going to start coming out in the next like 2 weeks as well. So any of you guys that want to check that out, like I said, that'll be coming up in the near future too. So yeah, thanks for watching this is the version 4 battle report. We'll get another one coming up probably next couple weeks for some of you guys that like watching this, and then we'll catch you guys later.